Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm excited to introduce our hybrid player. Spawning as Protoss, it's the world champion Zerg. The Italian stallion. It's Reynor. But up against one of the only players who has pulled that off in the past, really, before this tournament. The Canadian Zerg, Scarlett. She's also switched over to Protoss in some high-profile matches. When the rules allowed, at least. We'll see if this time around, Reynor will get the better end of the deal with, obviously, plenty of experience in Zerg versus Protoss and vice versa. Choosing to avoid the mirror matchup, which I appreciate. And I hope you do as well. And if you do, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,212 likes on this video, on this cast, on this non-mirror matchup experience. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. I'm very excited to see, and I think it'll make it a little bit better, what Reynor has in store. Now, against Cyril, he looked like a straight-up top-tier Protoss, with some of the highest APM a Protoss player has ever had, if not the highest ever, at over 500. And sure, that's a lot of spam, but it's also, it's not all. And it was some of the best multitasking I've ever seen of anyone, in Protoss or otherwise. And he made Cyril look beatable. I mean, well, by beating him, but though he wasn't able to have a repeat performance in the series. Scarlett is not quite Cyril. She's got her own brand of Zerg. A bit greedier, a bit riskier, but also, in my opinion, sometimes more entertaining. So, we will see how Reynor's Protoss stacks up. But what I'm trying to say, there's a long roundabout way of getting to... I don't expect any sort of cheese. I think Reynor just legitimately thinks it's both better overall and more enjoyable to play Protoss as opposed to languishing in Zerg versus Zerg, which is a volatile matchup, to say the least, and can be very frustrating as well. Well, Reynor shading in. The Oracle has managed to burn through a Queen and Scarlett, losing 2, 3, 4 drones to the Adepts, and the Adepts may very well get another shade off, targeting down one of them, but into the main. The drones do get a mineral walks around, but this is an inordinate amount of damage for the early harassment to do. It's a lot. And the Queens find, well, the Oracles find an isolated Queen. She's assassinated. Even using the Revelation there. Reynor using all the tools. Wow, 8 drones, 2 Queens, loses 4 Adepts and an Oracle, and very importantly, keeps anything away from his base. No sort of Zergling counterattack, constantly keeping tabs of whether Scarlett has a lair, a Roach Warren, a Baneling Nest. Hint, she didn't have any of the above. Just now getting the lair, +1 melee attack is in production, but in typical Scarlett fashion, she's already bounced back with plenty of drones. And adding on more Queens. The creep spread begins. Adepts trying to shade yet again. 5 gases simultaneously on the way. That tells quite a story. I'm not sure exactly what, but it's going to be a dramatic one as Lair Tech finishes. As that is more than enough. There's no Roach Warren on the way. Infestation Pit or Spire, more than likely. But Reynor already moving out with Blink halfway done. Gonna sit on the edge of the creep and try to keep some semblance of map control against a quickly expanding Zerg. Scarlett expanding both directions right now. Down to the south and up to the alternative third base. The creep is being cleared out by the Revelation from the Oracles. And Stasis Ward preventing a flank from the back. Scarlett doesn't, she's just going to cancel this hatch. Doesn't have nearly enough to help defend it. +1 melee is done, but a single cannon comes up just in time, and alongside a good positioning from Reynor. Knows exactly how to shut down those links. Is this a lurker rush? Hive Tech lurker rush. Scarlett getting an infestation bit alongside the Hydralisk Den. I think she wants to essentially circumvent that mid-game with the Blink Stalkers and the constant charge lot harass and just try to get past it. There we are. Lurkers, not quite, but essentially invalidating gateway units once they get their hive tech. She's building 4 hatcheries at a time. 1, 2, 3 outside the bases. Sorry, I have to try to figure out how to keep track of this. And 1 macro hatch in the main. So Scarlett, expanding is an understatement. In every single direction. The creep spread has been brought under control by the oracles, but it has not been shut down by any means. A hive is already on the way. Reynor, Storm, he's got more gates in production, plus 1 ground weapons, but more gas is here. Scarlett will have more than enough to build lurkers when that hive finishes, assuming that Reynor doesn't put anything together with Storm finishing. He's got 4 Templar, 13 Stalkers right now with Blink, but that is not enough to really scare the huge groups of Zerglings unless the Storms actually land. Constantly slapping down revelations, but hasn't gotten a revelation on possibly the most important part of this. The hive in the lurker den. Archon comes up just in time. The Zerglings keeping Reynor busy as Scarlett now adding on some of those lurkers. Getting as many hydras as she can before going into lurkers, making sure she has enough for the lurker range upgrade. So important here. Is it going to be adaptive talons first or range? I think range. Make sure they're the strongest possible lurkers. Keep them at spine's length. And Reynor is now building his first robotics facility. Of course, Revelation provides detection, but oracles are fragile creatures. Observers are fragile as well, but more suited to their job. So Reynor, just now, he still doesn't know. He doesn't know about the hive. He doesn't know about the lurker den. I'm sure he suspects at this stage, but has taken quite a time in getting up towards 200 supply. He's not even really close to it yet. Meanwhile, Scarlett has sprinted towards lurkers and will have range complete by the time Reynor moves out. Of course, I'm talking like it's on Reynor to get the damage done. We saw against Cyril he was actually able to go toe-to-toe with the lurkers, but this is hitting so early on. Scarlett now can be the aggressor. With the lurker range done, engaging this army is nearly impossible for the gateway units. Lurkers still haven't been spotted. I imagine there would be more Stargates or Robos if they were revealed, but, oh, well, that's a rude awakening. The lurkers. Stalkers getting caught. Blinks back. Stasis doesn't catch enough. Scarlett already in between the natural and the third. This is going to be a very difficult position to dislodge, but the Templar do have plenty of storms, dodging some of the spines. Softens up the lurkers at the front, but let's be honest, that's not very much at all. Here come the observers. There's even a dropper lord here. I'm not sure what that was for. Don't know if some Zerglings got in from the back, but the revelation is good. If Reynor's gonna break, it's gotta be soon. Splitting, Blink Stalkers to the south side. The storms are good across the front line. Another set of storms on the back. Holding are the lurkers, but I think the concave is just good enough. A lot of the Archons are taken down. The Zerglings are ripping apart the northern base, but the setup is good enough for Reynor that he holds the line. So now we gotta ask ourselves the eternal question. At what cost? Scarlett lost 10 lurkers. She killed 3 Templar, 2 Archons. Hasn't really touched the probe count. And didn't get any of the bases. So what might have been a killing blow was actually well diffused, as Reynor waited until the last possible moment before the lurkers were really getting into that critical position. And now 11 more lurkers on the way for Scarlett. She has plenty of money. Greater Spire is on the way, as the Brood Lords are likely going to be the follow-up. That beefy ground army. The Immortals and the Archons, well, they have a little more struggle when there's dozens of Broodlings on the field. And, you know, regular lings. I don't like being called that. +1 air weapons on the way. Even though Reynor's not built, I really like this. Knowing how important it is to get those upgrades for things like carriers, you don't want to have to be Crota boosting them out after you build a fleet beacon. Having the +2 or something on a +2, +1, something like that, really helps out with those initial 5-6 carriers. Oh, the lurkers will stall out the Immortal Archon army. Reynor's setup is looking... It's not unbreakable, but it's so flexible. Reynor with stasis, a staggered defense in depth of cannons, warping in zealots when needed. Add zealots to taste. Scarlett. Most Protoss would be struggling on both fronts here, but Reynor knows the weakness of those Zergling run-bys, and now zealots are going to be trying their hand at it. Scarlett repositioning with the lurkers. Oh, the Zergling's not having it. Single Archon not going to be enough here. 2 more Stargates on the way. Where's the fleet beacon, Reynor? +1 air weapons is done. The Zerglings. He's set it up so that he can warp in and use zealots and Archons as a choke point between the cannons and the batteries. You don't want them too spread out because they can isolate and kill. But if they're not spread out at all, lurkers or banelings, which aren't here now, but could easily rip through multiple cannons at once. So that kind of mixed bag. Oh, that's so many lurkers. Oh my god, the Zerglings from the back hold Reynor in place, but the lurkers actually not... They soften up a lot of it, but don't really find too many killing blows. Reynor back to 200 supplies. Scarlett at 162. 17 more Hydras in production. But it's starting to get costly. Reynor playing a very efficient game so far, considering the unit composition he's using. He makes it look plausible, dealing with double-digit lurker counts. He's killed 18 so far. There are currently 15 on the field. Constantly facing dozens of lurkers. And still holding the line and pushing Scarlett back. That's not supposed to happen. Greater Spire. Reynor's the one. I mean, you look. Hitting on all 3 fronts. Down each lane. Not feeding this time around. 15. 30 lurkers! That's it. The army is essentially just lurkers. There's 30 lurkers on the field. 90 supply of lurkers. That might be a record. Especially considering there's only 120 army supply in general. Scarlett says, well, obviously the problem was Storm could hit most of the lurkers. If I build enough lurkers, Storm can't hit all of them. Which, technically correct. We'll see how it works out. So many lurkers. Storming the drones, really. Of all the choices. Even some water balloons getting the damage done. Carriers on the way. Already Corruptors on the field. +1 flyer attack as well as +1 Protoss air weapons. Now getting +2. +3 shields on the way. But Reynor is keeping Scarlett at bay. Both sides of the map. The lurkers looking for an opportunity to dart out. But Reynor's army is dangerous enough to keep Scarlett bottled up. There are still 29 lurkers on the field, but the Broodlords are revealed. Targeting a Templar, gets it. Oh, another Templar. The Broodlord's chasing. The ground army may be vulnerable. Gets the Templar. How many more Templar on the field? 3 of them. The stasis. Observers? How many stasises? They're just scattered throughout the map. Reynor has not been idle. He's been far from it. 520 to 530 APM. Over 1,000 APM in this game. Scarlett keeping up. But it seems like Reynor has held the line against the lurkers. And now we're kind of running low on units that Scarlett even make sense at this stage of the game. We haven't really seen any Vipers or Investors. Another always seems to have an observer. The lurkers are going to dunk down out in front. The carriers have arrived. How many on the field right now? 4 of them, but they do have +2 air. So they will chew through the lurkers pretty quick. He's been working on those air upgrades, banking them for now, and now... Ooh. Revelation on... the Revelation can't quite hit all of the lurkers, but the Observer helps out. Yeah, the carriers chewing through. The lurkers, there's just so many of them. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Another beef toss army over here. Immortals, Archons, a couple Templar to direct everything. That is... wow, the fight is all over the place, but Scarlett might be left with too many lurkers still. Obviously, you don't want to just give them away, but it's this awkward scenario. The army supply is just too heavy into the lurkers. The Corruptor's trying to fight, but the carriers already have +2 air as well as +3 shields. A lurker finally found its way by Reynor's staggered defenses into the back line. We'll kill 5 probes, not very meaningful at this stage. +1 fire attack, +2 about to complete. But the Corruptors knocks down 1 carrier, but here comes the rest of the ground army. The lurkers must be moved in to intercept. Scarlett is running out of money. The Hydraless Den. The Proto-Lurker Den. Reynor didn't really flinch against the initial lurker rush. And now is taking the map. Again, I find myself impressed by... I don't know why... The thing is, it's much like playing another instrument. Playing a different race in StarCraft 2. You might know the notes and how to read them, but the details are dramatically different. And I'm not talking about going from like a recorder to an oboe. This is like going from a piano to a hurdy-gurdy or something. That Zerg is so significantly different. That doesn't mean you don't have many of the same principles, but Reynor, it makes it look like everyone else is playing Protoss wrong. Or slow. Or both. Right now, Scarlett's Lurker Rush really should have found more success. But Reynor held on. And now, I am hard-pressed to see Scarlett come up with an army to deal with that carrier army. He can't even deal with the Immortals! Reynor, somewhere in here, was setting up for the carrier finisher. And now, with 2 High Templar underneath. Oh, well, yanks in. There you go. Oh, I forgot about Vipers. How could I forget about Vipers? That's actually a big help. So the Vipers yanking the carriers. That is something here. The Immortals, driven back by the Broodlord Lurker combination. Scarlett still has options, but Reynor has plenty of money in the bank. And the carriers are recalled to the south side. There was a mothership somewhere around here. Mothership now also to the south side of the map. A bunch of zealots heading in towards the natural. Scarlett doesn't have enough money to really rebuild anything. Gonna struggle to build even a hatchery here. The zealots split off. Any split of attention could be devastating. +3 is done for the carriers. +1 air armor as well. Reynor putting on a masterclass of late-game Protoss versus Zerg. Who knows it better? I think Scarlett, unaccustomed to 30 lurkers not being enough to fight the ground army. Especially, it wasn't even a disruptor-based army. And the carriers only eventually being used to deal with the lurkers. It was the Immortals, the Archons. How many Immortals are on the field right now? We got 8 of them. Reynor's only lost 1. Wow. He's kept 8 out of 9 Immortals. Lost 15 to 27,000 minerals and 6 to 8.5 thousand gas. Scarlett still has a hugely expensive army. 7,900 minerals and 6,900 gas. Which is nice enough right up until you realize that 34 Corruptors to deal with 6 carriers seems like a disproportionate response. Reynor is building a cannon shield. Who's that guy in the YouTube comments who was like, I saw a comment, it was one of the most Twitch chat comments, or YouTube comments, same thing. But they're like, why don't players just build a bunch of cannons and shield batteries out there in the late game? Well, I guess because they don't have enough APM. Reynor, on the other hand, is building a cannon battery outpost. A recall here of the carriers. The mothership is still alive. The repositioning between the multiple recalls. The mothership to the south allows Reynor to bounce the carriers back and forth between the sides of the map. Yeah, it takes a bit. Scarlett. I don't think Scarlett's played a bad game. But Reynor just bringing this measured aggression. Being ready in a very Zerg-like fashion. Being ready with the next level of tech before it's needed. Which is usually how you want to play Zerg. You want to have your brood lords ready, you want to have your lurkers ready like Scarlett did. But Reynor with the carrier switch and then just taking the map and choking the Zerg away. They're still zealots. Those are real life zealots. They're not changelings. They're just hanging out. Like, the game isn't over. We're still playing. It just feels like Scarlett hasn't been able to do anything for like 5 minutes. Oh. And a recall to the mothership. How many? There are 35 cannons on the field. 10 more gate. Nine more gateways. Are they for a wall? Or just... Oh my god. Gonna have 20 gates. Well, Scarlett, gonna fight the war of attrition here. But the Tempests are shelling from the forward operating base. The Vipers, I mean, it's gonna take a few dozen more of that. The split. Oh, that storm really oh. Okay, well. Wow. Here comes Scarlett. Looking for a pull on the mothership. Reynor not gonna let that happen. Gets a carrier. But the Immortals? What's left? 7 Broodlords and 2 Lurkers are the extent of what's left of anti-ground units. Great Fungal. Another Great Fungal. And there go the Lurkers. Here come the Broods. And without the Broods, there's nothing to stop the Templar. And with nothing to stop the Templar... Oh, the mothership. Oh my god. Almost a BM move there. There's no more energy on the Vipers. The mothership just dies immediately. The obligatory mothership death. The Stalkers can be warped in 20 at a time. Oh, the Immortals are still alive! Living up to their names. And GG. What a game out of Reynor. Wow. I really thought the Lurker Rush was a great idea. A solid counter to Reynor's kind of aggressive gateway style. But Reynor just swatted it away. It is really, this is a very weird scenario for me. Okay, I think for a lot of people. But having I am hard pressed at this stage. We're not there yet. I don't think it's decisive yet, but we're hard pressed to not make the argument that maybe Protoss players weren't exploring or exploiting all of the avenues of opportunity that were presented to them. which is a very fancy way of saying maybe Zerg players are just better. I do think a little bit of it is just the sheer speed. Reynor is one of the fastest players in the world, if not the fastest. Clem and Reynor are the top two. Cyril is fast, but he's not on the same level of speed. He's precision. I don't think we've seen a Protoss player able to use that level. So here's the thing. Most of the time, Zerg and Terran can get more out of that APM because of the sheer requirement for their mechanics. I mean, Scarlett over here at 500 something is definitely not slouching. Between the need for injects and creep spread and the individual requirements of units like Zerglings, as well as, you know, Marines, Marauders, Medevacs, and just Terran micro and macro in general. But Reynor is showing that you can find a use. And it doesn't look like it's an overuse, but instead doing things like adding those stasises out on the field, like instead of sitting there with energy on the oracles, like just adding a few more stasis in. Having the perfect setup. And that's something, that's speed. That's something as well. That's something that maybe it takes another Protoss player 3 seconds to set up their base. It takes Reynor 1 second. These margins add up. That gives you another 1 or 2 seconds to blink micro. I don't know exactly what. We're going to have to do a breakdown. Reynor had a quote. When asked, like, why did he play Protoss at Homestory Cup against Zerg, as opposed to Zerg? And the response, this was just, like, literally typing in Twitch chat, though, was, well, I think my Protoss is pretty bad, but it was good enough. And then he said, my Zerg is also pretty bad. So if you ever wondered if you're good at StarCraft, if you ever wondered, like, what league will make you good, or what level, or how many ladder points or achievements, just know this. One of the top 3 players in the world, give or take, a world champion, doesn't think they're very good. Now, obviously, Reynor knows he's good. He's a great player. But the thing is, who better to judge mistakes, and who better to realize missed opportunities than someone who is that close to the top? All right? What better perspective than from that ivory tower? So, I believe him truly when he says he doesn't feel he's that good. Because that's the feeling of playing StarCraft 2 in a nutshell. And if you feel like you're doing pretty good, well, good for you. But, and honestly, that for me as well. Like, playing on the ladder nowadays, I am better than I ever was. But percentile-wise, am I the middling random grandmaster I maybe was at one point? Not quite. I see all these times I get supply blocked, or lose a unit here or there, or lose my detection, or build 3 less workers than I needed, or wasn't paying attention to like, all these little things. And pro players see that even better. So, all we can do is get just a little bit better. So hopefully these games make you feel that way. Like and subscribe. All right, we'll have something happen now. Zerglings. It's been a passive, yet standard early game into double Stargate Phoenix. So that is certainly something a little different. Reynor dipping into the Stargates a lot earlier this time. Some solid Oracle micro. Only gets 2 drones though, and gets out. But most Protoss players are in the orange when getting only 2 drones, so big improvement, I guess. A little tucked in setup there at the 3rd base. My double star Phoenix. We haven't seen this build in quite a while. This build was a menace for years. I'm not sure why we stopped doing it. I think mostly because things like queen walks got figured out. When it became too common, Zerg players would just walk their queens across the map, or do the German taxi build, which hits... If it's scouted before you get to a critical mass of phoenixes, it loses a huge amount of value. The initial strength of this is in showing up when there's maybe one spore crawler, no hydras, and only a handful of queens, and slaughtering dozens of drones and several queens. Reynor's holding on to it, going for 8 phoenixes so far. This is gonna start getting a little suspicious. Now moving out, kind of pretending like it's going to be some sort of blink aggression. And now with 2 robos on the way, I think that's gonna signal the attack. Yeah, as Reynor wants to take advantage of those phoenixes to set up for the double robo. Maybe try to encourage that. And here comes the overseer. All right, it's been spotted. Finally, Scarlett gets some vision. But there will be enough time to build some spore crawlers. Maybe get some other defenses up. Get queens all consolidated. So the alarm bells have sounded. Scarlett will be losing several overlords. Has to build a bunch more, but the queens are together. Get off my creep! Don't you know this build is straight out of 2017? Carrot. Shut up. Focus. Sorry, I blacked out for a second. The Oracle's back at home, helping to burn through. That one adept with a shield battery, keeping all the Zerglings busy. The ground army is going to be slaughtered here for Reynor, but in turn, picked up and knocked down by Reynor's Phoenixes. So overall, have the Phoenixes been worth it? Well, of all the things, of all the high APM units, the Phoenixes are up there. They're a unit that you can almost always be doing something with. Overlords cannot land. So at the very least, you can hunt Ovies. And Scarlett has sent them to the corners of the map. She didn't actually get Overlord speed. I don't even know how they got there so quick. But she's got 3 Overlords hanging out in the center of the map, or the top right corner. Gonna pick up Zerglings. Even Reynor doesn't stoop that low. Oh, or the Phoenixes don't. Either way, not worth it. Infestor's on the way. Looking to lock down those Phoenixes. Thing is, Reynor already has the robos up. There's the storm. And now, Burrows, the lurker den is spotted. Viper's coming out. Parasitic bomb. Oh, beautiful fungal. Looking for more, though. Trying to intercept some of them before they get the fungals off. Might be able to kill. Saving the infestor in the air, but the hydras aren't able to close the distance. It was just a little bit too early. And Reynor is not able to take advantage. Quite as early as he'd like. Ground weapons. Level 1 complete now. The lurkers have been spotted, but Scarlett has 95 drones. Immortal Templar. Storm is done. The Phoenixes are still a big part of the army here. There's not so many Hydras. Well, now 24. Not even bothering with getting lurkers yet. Instead, focused on the Hydras themselves. Scarlett trying to keep Reynor contained, but Reynor, wow. The defense in depth. Is a stasis, cannons, batteries. Has some Templar behind. Oh, but yanking in the Immortals. Gets a feedback counter. Storm, not on the mark. And now the lurkers. Seeing enough of a ground army to justify the commitment. I think there's enough for a parabomb, but a bit wasteful. It's a lot of energy. Scarlett's creep, though, has pushed most of the way forward. point. Now that's a lot. Yanks in the Archon. The Lurker's able to get a hold of it. Adrenal glands on the way. Not gonna stick around for long enough to get stormed again. Those stasises. Oh, catches some Hydras. Another one! They buy some time. Reynor should be able to max out. Building double prism now. Is he gonna double prism, Mike, or is he just gonna send them out like pylons? The stasises are still intact here. About to run out. Scarlett trying to take advantage of it. Pull Reynor away. The Lurkers are spotted. The Templar underneath. Oh, the full pickup! And the Storms as well! The Phoenixes come swooping in! What a play by Reynor! The most masterful fight I maybe have ever seen! Oh, I don't know what I expected, but the Phoenixes showing their value. Losing a couple at the end, the tail end of this. Not as good, but the double prism. And Scarlett losing all the Lurkers, making up for it. Whoa, Reynor now losing track of the units. A beautiful fight, but is it enough to carry through? I don't think so. Those storms are continuing. A whole bunch of Hydras were produced. So Reynor biting off much more than he can chew right now, but... oh, how many storms are left? I think the energy is nearly gone here. Doesn't have enough for even one more. Gonna try to fight. Scarlett can't risk it. But the Phoenix pickup, getting all the Lurkers across the board, just looking incredible as well. One of the most cinematic moments I've seen in PvZ. Reynor just the maestro. The amount that has to come together to do it all perfectly timed. You come too early with the Phoenixes, and the Hydras or the Vipers take them out. Too early with the ground army, and the Lurkers start shredding. It all has to come together just right. And Reynor did so. But Scarlett still has money in the bank and still plenty. That army? It's still been a costly fight for Reynor. Scarlett's only lost 1,500 and 700 more. Ooh, charge lots. A lot of damage done to that hatch, but I'm pretty sure that was the Vipers. There's that carrier transition lining up. I think Reynor realizing that the ground army not making as much progress despite the beautiful fight. Huge warping in towards the main. The Hydras don't target the prism. We'll get it now. But Reynor uses the opportunity to swoop in again. And the storms across the board. I don't even know if he has detection. Oh, he has observers just barely in range here. But yanking in a couple of mortals and slicing them up on the way down. Scarlett will return the damage. What? So many Lurkers. Hydras get stormed, but oh, the Zealots finished off the hatchery that was consumed earlier. Reynor still maxed out. Scarlett has money to do so. But we're kind of in that same scenario where Scarlett can't quite find the damage with the lure. Oh my god, the charge. Did he just manually charge? Maybe. Or just A-moved at exactly the right time. That looked crazy. I wouldn't put it past Reynor to do manual charges. Well, here come the Lurkers in kind of an awkward angle. Yeah, well, there's not enough energy for Storm. If there was, yeah, leaned into it for a second. Didn't lean out with most of them. The Zealots paying the toll here. The Hydras, but we're going around in circles. The Hydras are going back the other way. Looks like, nope, you're not coming down there. Not yet. The Vipers. The Zealots made it all the way to the main, but the Queen should be able to clean it up. And Scarlett is holding on. Reynor doesn't have that massive bank that he was able to build up in the previous game. But there's time yet. Scarlett, a little lighter on the gas, but plenty more minerals at the moment. Single Lurker. Oh, doesn't quite land it, the revelation onto the Lurker. An awkward engage there. And the Zealots are going to get cleaned up. The Revelation should come off cooldown momentarily. Still has some Phoenixes standing by. Oh, takes out the Lurker at the last moment. The Templar were coming up. Those are things that need to be protected. 3 carriers in production. The Vipers. Yankson just gets a Phoenix. Why not? Well, because the Phoenixes could kill the Vipers. That's why not. Gotta be careful. There's not that many Hydras left over. Oh, Yankson, another Immortal Phoenix combo. Great Viper control from Scarlett. Those Lurkers moving around the carriers. Reynor is trying to whittle down, to force Scarlett into such an anti-ground army and then come up with so many carriers. Oh my god, Yanks in the Templar. Risky business. Reynor wants Scarlett to commit to so many Lurkers that the carriers just win the fight. Oh my god, I can't believe the Oracle found an opportunity to kill some more drones. Scarlett down to 66 drones. But plenty of army supply, that means. Reynor has 85 probes. +2 air weapons is completed now for the carriers. There are 4 of them. 5 or 6 is that money number that Reynor's been using. That is not enough Lurkers. Splits the Archons a bit. There's nothing in front to protect. The rest of the army is scrambling to intercept. The Observers are a bit vulnerable. Good feedbacks. And all the Vipers are out of energy. Gets one last abduct, but the base is just gone. Hydra's floating up. Trying to jump on the army. The Storms are good. Gonna try to recall out. Does so immediately. Gets out before the Spines. They'll expect some of us in the wreckage for this. Oh, and the carriers have arrived. Scarlett, does she have a hive? Yes, a hive, obviously. A Spire. Fighting the Interceptors here. But they already have +2 attack. The Hydras are at 3-2 though, so we're doing pretty well. But Reynor is confident. Their Interceptors are building. Parasitic Bomb could be very helpful here. Contemplating an abduct. All the Interceptors are gone now. Scarlett not building a Spire at all. Gotta try to fight this straight up with Hydras. And yanks it in. The Spines. A backbone of the defense here. The Lurker Spines are more relevant, though. Unfortunately, Spines don't... Spines should get melee attack upgrades. Okay? If cannons can get shields, Spines should get melee attack. I have spoken. Speaking of shields, +3 shields completed. Scarlett moving up. Triggers a stasis. The cannons, though. The mass cannons. Setting up those outposts again. Only 16 cannons on the field right now. Hasn't actually... Oh my god, Scarlett has only killed 1 building this entire game. That seems wrong. 1 pylon? Are you kidding me? Alright. The carrier count is getting damn high. Reynor commits to more carriers when dealing with the Hydras. Eventually it gets to a swarm of Interceptors that Scarlett can't hope to beat. The Storms are going to be everything here. Yanks in a couple more carriers, they will be taken down. But the Storms are absolutely devastating, and Scarlett just taps it out. It's too much. Reynor 2 to Scarlett 0. Reynor just giving everyone an education. Wow. I think Scarlett played quite well, but Reynor just bringing another dimension to Protoss that it's nothing we haven't seen, but it's more than we haven't once, I think is the best way to describe it. He's just doing more, and he's doing it well. Scarlett, those Lurkers would have killed many Protoss. The speed and the sheer number, but it's not enough. Reynor breaks through. Wow. Some of the most entertaining Protoss versus Zerg I've seen as well. Oh. Good games. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Be awesome if you have the means of motivation to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But subscribing and liking is absolutely free. And also, be awesome if you check out autoplay or recommended. Those are the big ones that YouTube is telling me. You made it this far. Go click on a recommended one. You'll know. My stupid face will be on the screen somewhere. More than likely, or something like that. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.